Hello, my literary luminaries, and welcome back to another Tuesday Talks. I'm feeling better, my cold is almost gone. Super exciting. This Tuesday Talks episode is going to be a little different. I feel like I start every single video out with that. But today's Tuesday Talks topic is, have you ever met your favorite author, and if so, has it changed the way you felt about their books? The problem with this is that I don't have a favorite author. A lot of people ask me, who's your favorite author? What's your favorite book? And I never really have an answer. And I can't really tell you why. I don't know. But I like a lot of books. I like a lot of authors. And I don't necessarily have a favorite out of any of them. However, I do have an author I can talk about for this. No one is going to be surprised by who I choose. But I'm going to talk about MCA Hogarth because she is an author that is probably one of my favorites to read. And I have, in fact, gotten a chance to meet her. So, I had not met Maggie, which is her first name. I hadn't met Maggie properly when I first started reading her books. I don't remember how I found the Kickstarter initially, probably through friends of friends. But Maggie was doing a Kickstarter for her book, A Rosary of Stones and Thorns. And it was about a girl and angels and redemption and all sorts of things that would appeal to me. And I'm like, ooh, I like angels. I write stories about angels. I should support this author. And so I backed the Kickstarter and I got the book. And then I don't think I read it for like 2 years or something awful like that. I did finally read it during my first residency, I believe, of grad school back in 2013. And really, really enjoyed it. Thought it was fantastic. I'd chatted with her occasionally on Twitter, but hadn't really had any big conversations. But when she did her Kickstarter for Earthrise, which is the first in her Instruments series, which is one of her Eldritch stories, which I absolutely adore, I backed that one. I was like, all right, now I know you, now I know I like your writing, this is going to be awesome. And from there, you all know what happened. I've been a huge fan of hers ever since. But I want to say it was about a year or two ago now. My sense of time is awful. But sometime within the past year or two, Maggie was coming up to Anthrocon in Pittsburgh to do like signings and sell books and stuff and be a part of the convention because she writes, her Pelted universe is very, anthropomorphic and it appeals to the furry community. So I was like, you're going to be in Pittsburgh? That is so much closer to me than where you usually live. And so I got a chance to go up to Pittsburgh and actually meet her in person, which was really cool because we'd started talking more on Twitter. I'd done some beta reading for her. I started acting as a narrator for some of her audiobooks. And I already felt like I knew her a bit because I'd met her through Twitter and talked to her online and all that jazz. But I know that getting a chance to see her in person, actually talk with her, really make that personal connection made me, I don't want to say connect more with her books, but it gave me that much level more. That's an awful sentence, but I'm going to go with it. To connect with her books, because she was more than just text on a screen at that point, or text in a book. I think as soon as you meet someone in person, it makes everything they do and everything they create that much more real. I can sit down and have a conversation with her in person, face to face, about her characters and how they connect to me and how, they connected to her when she wrote them and what they mean for her. It makes everything so much more in-depth and so much more real. And I appreciated that a great deal. Not that I, didn't appreciate the writing or didn't connect with it or whatever beforehand, but I like having that more, I keep saying the word real and I really don't want to. I appreciate the more in-depth connection that seeing someone face-to-face provides. Because I know my characters in my stories feel real to me. Obviously, I know they're not. They're fiction. They're on the page. But, they're my creations. They're very important to me. And I've had people say that, they've read some of my stories and they like them, but hearing me talk about them makes it, one or two steps more than already. And I think that's what being able to meet the author does. In contrast, the other author that you've heard me talk about a lot is Leah Habel. I actually met Leah before I read any of her books, and I think that helped in how much I connected to the characters when I first read them. Because I already had that connection to her and to her writing. I knew the process she'd gone through. I had all that in my mind already when I picked up Dearly Departed, because I'd met her already. We'd had the connection at the coffee shop, I believe, that I met her at. It was already part of it. And, out of all of the authors... No, that's not true. I've met another one of my favorite authors. I actually lived with her for a while. Who I haven't had as much chance to talk about on here because I don't have, a book. She does a lot of web serial stuff. And her name is Lynn Thornalder, and you should absolutely check her stuff out. She's got a lot of really cool stories that I am dreadfully behind on at the moment, but she's a phenomenal author. Her character development is incredible. She has a really good knack with dialogue. And she's another one that I knew online. I got to know her world, and then by, meeting her in person, and then, of course, living with her for a year and a half or so, I get that much more connection to her worlds and to her characters. And it's really been a pleasure to work with her and the other authors I've mentioned, obviously, as well. I know this isn't my personal experience, but I know that the opposite has happened. Occasionally, people have found out things about authors that they really like, and it's jaded their view of their works. In many ways, that's a pivotal point in The Fault in Our Stars. We see that there. A lot of people talk about some of the old greats of science fiction, particularly Orson Scott Card and H.P. Lovecraft. And that, you see a lot of racism and misogyny and all that stuff, and it starts affecting how you feel about the books because you've learned these things about the author. And I've been lucky in that I've never had, the Fault in Our Stars moment with any of the authors that I really like, but it is definitely a thing that happens, and I think it's both unfortunate and realistic because they are a creation of the authors that write them. And so when we read them, we reflect on the authors. But the books are not necessarily direct reflections of the author. In a lot of ways, we saw that with Harper Lee's Ghost at a Watchman and the changes that we saw in Atticus and whatnot. They're not necessarily a reflection of Harper. They're a reflection of her father and what she saw in him, as he was very much the basis for Atticus Finch. But in my personal experience, I have very much enjoyed meeting my favorite authors, and they have only changed my opinions of their books for the better. But let me know what you think. Have you met any of your favorite authors? Has the meeting changed the way you feel about their works? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you in the comments, as always. But for now, I will say adieu until Thursday. Bye! And it appeals to the furry. But let me know...